Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakakwadash. All right, Shalom. I want to start the lesson off with giving double honors to the apostles, elders, great millstone who root and teach well. Wabarakathum to the hopeful elect. All right, now today through the Spirit, I'm going to go into a quick lesson going into how no nation suffered as the nation of Israel. All right, so without further ado, we're going to get straight into it. It's going to be relatively quick, but it's just a quick, little quick edification. Right, this is Baruch chapter 2, and I'm reading verse 2 to verse 2. It says, therefore, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai have made good his word, which he pronounced against us, which he's talking about the judgment that he was going to bring amongst his people. This is around the time period of when the southern kingdom was getting jacked up by the Babylonians, right? Where the Babylonians would come and bring that harsh captivity, 70-year captivity. All right, it says, and against our judges that judge Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against our men of Israel and Judah. Right? So the Lord pronounced his word and he made it come to pass. Right? You see? Because the Lord ultimately, what he ended up doing was, he ended up bringing mass judgment upon our people because of all our kings that the Lord gave us a chance to rule on. They ended up, all of our kings that we had, they ended up, departing from the way. The southern kingdom only had 2 kings that was good. You can read about that in the book of Kings, 2 Kings. We only had a couple of righteous kings. The rest of the kings, they were completely unrighteous and they were going off. All right. You see? So now let's get to the point right here, verse 2. To bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven. You see? Mass judgment. That's talking about the judgments the Lord brought to the nation of Israel. No nation suffered as we did. It says, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that are written in the law of Moses. Now, when was the law reiterated? And it talks about those curses in Deuteronomy, right? That got brought into the nation of Israel. No nation had to go through the things the nation of Israel had to go through. And the reason being is because whom the Lord loveth, that's whom he chastened or he corrects. Let's get that real fast. All right, let's see. Hebrews 12 and what is it, like 7? Yep. Hebrews 12 and 6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. So who's the sons of God? Who's the sons of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai? The Israelites. The elect ultimately is going to partake in being brought back into that son of God estate first. Right? But ultimately, really, the whole nation of Israel are the Lord's sons. That's why he jacked us up so bad. You see? Worse than any nation, because that's who he cares about, is the nation of Israel. This is Daniel chapter 9 and verse 12. And it says, and he have confirmed his words which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, for bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven hath not been as hath been done unto Jerusalem. You see, which is a people before a place. Those 4 harsh captivities the southern kingdom went through, the harsh captivity under the Assyrians. All right, then you go past that, Esau. You had a transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan trade, right? That a lot of these heathens had a part in jacking the nation of Israel up. You have the Native American Removal Acts. All right. All of these times, man. And the reason being is because we're the people the Lord loves. So he jacked us up. I'm not going to let my inheritance, my people I'm not going to let my sons and daughters continue to be wicked and be doing idolatry. I'm going to stop that and put an end to it. So the Lord corrected us. You see? And we got jacked up worse than any other nation on the planet Earth. All right. Let's get this. This is Deuteronomy 30 and verse 1. It says, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, because the Lord cursed the hell out of us. None of these other nations got cursed. Right? They didn't have to go through no curses. Ultimately, we went through the curses because we're subjected unto the law, statutes, and commandments. You see? That's why the curses came upon us, because we didn't adhere unto the law, statutes, and commandments. When the law was reiterated, and then it got transitioned over from Moses to Joshua, right? But it says, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai thy power have driven thee. The curses are going to be called to mind. This is prophecy, man. And that's how we're able to identify who we are, through the prophecies, through the scriptures, because we are the ones who went through these different harsh, conditions for a punishment of the evils that we done. You see? No nation suffered as we did. All right, hold on. Let me slack you. Right? No nation suffered as we did. Now let's get some examples real fast. And I got one more last precept. This is just a quick little hit. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. And guess who the true Israelites are? The Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and the Israelite foreigners mingled amongst these different nations, man. All right? Those who can have the spirit to receive this doctrine, this gospel, this good news, those are the ones who are Israelites. Because our people have been scattered amongst all these nations. So you have Israelites that look like all the rest of these nations. You see? But they'll return and they'll be able to receive his word, the elect. And then ultimately the rest of the tribes will just be in order after. Right? Let's get this last one. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 15. And I'm going to read a couple of these examples and I'm going to get that second Maccabees. Right? It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Bashem Rashad thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes this day, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now, when you go into it, the Lord brings all these harsh, hardcore curses that got to put on us, man. You see, you can even read about it in the book of Baruch. It speaks on how we will be in a spirit having to be cannibals. You see, that happened to the nation of Israel. Okay? And that's because that's who the Lord is dealing with. Let's read some of these curses, man. All right. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand to do until thou be destroyed, until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings whereby thou hast forsaken me. Now, who has all the failures and vexation? Who has to go through that whenever they try and set something up? The nation of Israel. Right? Then you go into all the pestilences, the plagues. All right. I want to get a couple of them that oh, man, let's get this one right quick. This is Deuteronomy 28:28. Yahweh Bashem Rashah shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Jack the hell up. Our people are jacked up, man. Okay? You see? Deuteronomy 28:30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Who are the main construction workers? You so-called Northern Kingdom. Issacharites, man. You're the one building everything a lot of the times, man. Then you have other Israelites. All right, it says you shall betroth the wife and another man shall lie with her. That happened during all types of slavery time periods and everything. You see? Let's continue on. Then it goes to our sons and daughters being given away. That happened to the Northern Kingdom, right? Let's check this out. Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. That's a jacked up curse. Being called a Nigga, right? Being called black. You see, being called a redskin. Being called a Mexican. All these bywords and proverbs. You see, that's amongst the nation of Israel. You see? No land that we don't have no standing army, no land. Right? That's because the Lord jacked us up that way. You see? Deuteronomy 28:45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. We're destroyed people, a destroyed nation. You see? A destroyed nation, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh Bashem Rashad thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. You see? That's why all these curses came upon us. It says, and shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. No nation had to go through this except for the nation of Israel. Verse 48. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. Who do we have to serve in want of all things? The Edomites, man. And he shall put a yoke upon iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. You see? Now we actually had yokes of iron. The Southern Kingdom had to have yokes of iron on their neck. You see, in different slaves, man, of Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. That happened to you. And then now it's the spiritual yoke, which is by him having your mind set in his kingdom. Y'all jacked up. Okay? Let's continue on, man. Let's check this out right here. This is Deuteronomy 28. And I want to get this one right here. This is let's get these. This is Deuteronomy 28:54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and towards his wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. That's why a lot of Israelite families are broken up, because guess what? That's the curses on them, especially the southern kingdom. That's the head tribe. That's why they got jacked up the worst. Father's not in the house at all, man. You see, no nation had to go through this except us. And it said these curses shall be for a sign forever. It's going to always be on us until we get redeemed from the curses. Let's jump down, right? The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her daughter, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. Mothers don't love their kids. A lot of these Israelite mothers. You see? Then it's talking about the Lord scattering us among all people. And then it says, no man shall buy you going here. But I'm going to go straight to the point now. See? So I want to get through it. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 12. And I'm going to read down. It says, now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but they judge those punishments not for destruction, but for chastening of our nation. It was for our nation's correction. That's why the Lord jacked us up so bad. Verse 13, for it is a token of his great goodness when the wicked doers do not suffer a long time before with punishment. So the Lord allowed them to keep being wicked, but he won't allow his people to continue that wickedness. Verse 14, it says, for as the other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us, lest that, after the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us. You see, he'll bring vengeance for us, but he lets the other nations stack up all that wickedness and evil to judge them later. He's not going to allow his people to do that. And this is during the time period of the Grecians, the Edomites. You see the beginning of the Edomites ruling. You see? And it was for our correction. It was for our judgment. That statue that was in the book of Daniel, you see? It goes into it. It tells you those nations that will have us in captivity. First, you start with the Babylon, ultimately the Assyrian Babylonian Empire. Then you had a Medo-Persian Empire. Then this is in this time period in 2 Maccabees, the Greek Empire, and then the Roman Empire, which that was all captivities the Southern Kingdom went through. You see, for a punishment, and that was, no nation had to go through that many captivities like that, like we did, because the Lord actually cares about us, and we're the ones that subjected to the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments, and righteousness. You see, but anyways, that's the point, man. No nation has suffered as the nation of Israel, and that's the point I want to bring out. All right, but it was for a reason. It was just for our correction, because the Lord cares about us. A parent is gonna whoop his kid. He ain't gonna whoop no random person's kid. Lord don't care about these nations. He's liking them to spit. But for his people, he's gonna make sure he jacks us up when we go off. All right. But anyways, Lord willing, this was edifying. I like to end it off by saying, call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the bonus to the apostles, elders, great millstone, root, well, Kwame Shalom.